So, what is it that gives life meaning, especially when you're facing unimaginable suffering? I mean, that's the huge question at the very heart of Viktor Frankl's incredible book, Man's Search for Meaning. And this book, it wasn't written in some quiet, cozy study. It was born in the brutal, horrific reality of a Nazi concentration camp. Let's dive into this powerful story about the resilience of the human spirit. Frankl was a big fan of this quote from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. And for him, this wasn't just some clever line. You could almost say it was a hypothesis, one that he was about to test and ultimately prove in the most extreme conditions imaginable. It's really the central pillar of his whole philosophy. If you have a purpose, a why, you can survive almost anything. All right, so the story really begins the moment Frankl arrives at Auschwitz. And we have to be clear, this wasn't just a prison. It was a terrifyingly efficient, industrial system designed to do one thing: to systematically dismantle a human being, to strip away every single piece of their identity until there was literally nothing left. And that process of erasure, it started immediately. First, they took your past. All your official papers, your passport, your diplomas, your birth certificate, confiscated. And just like that, in a single moment, your entire documented history, all the proof you even existed, was just gone. Next, they took your present. Every single personal belonging was stripped away from you. For Frankl, this included his most precious possession, the manuscript for a book he truly believed was his life's work. Every material link to who you were, every little thing that held a memory, it all just vanished. And then, the final step. They took your very identity. Prisoners weren't people with names anymore. They were just objects referred to only by a number. 119104, that was Viktor Frankl's number. That was the label that replaced his identity as a respected doctor, as a husband, a son, as a human being. You know, this complete annihilation forces you to ask the ultimate question. When your past is gone, your possessions are gone, your family's gone, and even your name is gone, what is left? Can anything of you possibly survive that? Well, here is the absolutely profound answer he discovered. Even in the absolute depths of that hell, there was one thing the guards could never, ever touch: his freedom to choose his own attitude. He realized this inner freedom was the one thing that could never be taken away. No one could get inside his head. I mean, he tells this incredible story about being forced on a brutal march through a frozen landscape. And while other prisoners were collapsing in despair all around him, Frankl retreated into his mind. He started having this vivid, loving conversation with his wife. His body was a prisoner, yes, but his spirit? It was soaring free. Now, this realization, which was forged in the fires of suffering, it didn't just help Frankl survive. It became the actual foundation for a whole new school of psychotherapy he would create after the war, a new way of understanding the human mind that he called logotherapy. So, what exactly is logotherapy? Well, the name comes from the Greek word logos, which basically means meaning. And that's the whole key right there. Logotherapy suggests that our main motivation in life, our primary drive, isn't the search for pleasure or power, but this deep, built-in need to find meaning in our lives. And you have to understand, this was a pretty radical idea at the time. It stood in really stark contrast to the other big theories. You had Freud, who saw a will to pleasure driving us, and Adler, who saw a will to power. But Frankl came along and argued for this third, and he believed more fundamental drive: the will to meaning. Frankl argued that when this will to meaning gets frustrated, we fall into what he called an existential vacuum. You know that feeling, that sense of inner emptiness, of aimlessness? Like, is this all there is? He said we have the means to live, but often no meaning to live for. And he believed this vacuum is the root cause of so much modern boredom, depression, and addiction. Okay, so if a lack of meaning is the problem, what's the solution? The great thing about Frankl is he didn't just diagnose the problem, he offered a prescription. He outlined 3 really clear paths that he believed anyone could follow to find their why. So here they are. He believed you can find meaning in 3 main ways. First, through action, by creating something or doing a good deed. Second, through love, by experiencing something beautiful or encountering someone who changes you. And third, and this is maybe the most profound, through suffering, by choosing our attitude when we're facing a fate we just can't change.
That second path, the one through love, was incredibly powerful for Frankl. He really believed it was the highest goal we could ever aspire to, because love is the only way you can truly see another person's deepest essence and all the amazing potential of who they could become.
But what about that third path, the one that's forged in pain? This might just be Frankl's most powerful insight of all, that even in a completely hopeless situation, when we have zero power to change our fate, we can still find meaning by choosing how we endure it.
Frankl tells this incredible story of an elderly doctor who came to see him. The man was just crushed by depression after his wife of many, many years had died. He couldn't see any way forward. His suffering felt completely and utterly meaningless.
Now, Frankl didn't offer him cheap sympathy. He offered him a new perspective. He reframed the doctor's entire reality with one single question, asking him to imagine the pain his wife would have gone through if he had died first.
And the doctor's response was instant. The thought of his beloved wife having to endure the same grief that he was feeling now, it was unbearable to him. He immediately said, "Oh, for her? This would have been terrible."
And with those words, everything changed. Frankl helped him realize that his immense pain actually had a profound purpose. He was shouldering all of this suffering so that his wife would not have to. His grief was no longer this meaningless burden. It was a final, powerful act of love. In that moment, the actual nature of the doctor's suffering changed. It didn't go away, of course not. But by finding a meaning, the meaning of a sacrifice, it became bearable. He had found his why. And because of that, he could now endure the how. And this all brings us to Frankl's ultimate conclusion, a total shift in perspective. He believed we've been asking the wrong question all along. We shouldn't be asking life, what is your meaning? Instead, we have to realize that life is the one asking us. Every single day, every moment, life is posing questions to us, and our choices, our actions, those are our answers. Which leaves us with one final, very personal question. It's the one Frankl believed every single one of us has to answer for ourselves. In your job, in your relationships, in your own private struggles, what is life asking of you?